Hello everyone, and welcome to your NARSA weekly update for the week commencing Monday the 10th of June 2024. It's Gary here again, and do you know, I got a bit of feedback before we'd even published the broadcast last week, and it was from my good friend Chris, who does all the packaging and gets it organised for both the podcast platforms and for YouTube. And I'll give you the polite version of what he said, and it was along the lines of, how the heck can you have 40 minutes of a podcast when there are no games to cover? And, point well made and point well received. And I say all that at the beginning just to give you an idea that I am fairly certain it's not going to be a 40-minute pod for this week. Yes, it's Euros week here we've got, and of course we've got Scotland opening the tournament with probably one of the easiest games that they'll actually have in the tournament against the hosts, Germany. Germany, who had a barren, Germany have been kind of rank rotten for quite some time, haven't they? But they seem to be on the uptick now, and going in the right direction. So it's going to be really interesting, because Scotland had a wee bit of a barren run themselves in terms of not being able to secure any victories until last week there. So this is of course not a Scotland pod, it's a Rangers pod, but it's obviously something that we're going to keep an eye on. It's always good to see when we have at least one or two or three of the home nations there to be able to have an opportunity to have, either shout for a team or shout against a team, and then just to see what other types of styles of players are out there and who's going to be, the player of the tournament, and what surprises are going to come up and such. So it's going to be interesting. And just from a Rangers perspective on that, you'll probably have heard by now that John Souttar did not make the final squad, and I have to say, on behalf of Rangers, or on behalf of Gary, on behalf of Rangers, I'm not too disappointed. Based on Souttar's injury record, the more rest the guy can get, and the more recovery and recuperation from the season that passed there, because he did play a lot of football for us, the better, and hopefully we can manage him and give him the best opportunity to be as fresh as he possibly can be come season 24-25. For the player himself, I'm disappointed for him, because I'm assuming he's disappointed. I can't imagine he wouldn't be. And, to get so close to make the kind of final provisional squad and then just be cut at the last minute, that's the way it goes. It's a bit of a numbers game when it gets to points like that. But yeah, disappointed for him, not disappointed for Rangers. And speaking of Rangers, I'm kind of pleased to say that this last week was not the dramatic week that we experienced the week before or the week prior. And that's not a bad thing, because I think we've had just about as much upheaval, certainly in the boardroom and key leadership positions, as we've experienced over the last wee while. I don't need to go over the old ground. You know how I feel about that amount of change at leadership of any organisation, and it's very difficult to sustain any sort of momentum and success going forward. So hopefully we get a wee bit more respite, a little bit more settling down of what it is we're doing from a club perspective, and then we'll just start to, hopefully we'll start to see some players coming in, we'll start to see some leadership changes and figure out what that kind of looks like and means for us as we move forward. So I am A-OK with the lack of activity on that in the last wee while. What I did see today on the Rangers website, you might have already seen it, is there was an article just basically advertising the pre-season friendlies that Rangers have organised. There was another one added there that I'll talk about just in a second here. But what they did, I thought it was brilliant, because they took away the guesswork, and they basically said, here are some key dates for the Rangers men's first team. And the 24th of June is when they return to training. That wouldn't be the same for anyone who would be off on international duty, and some of the players might not even be with us yet. You never know. I'm not sure about that, but 24th of June. So that's 2 weeks away, folks. 2 weeks literally from today. The first team are going to be returning to training, and then I guess what would that be? Just about 2 weeks after that, on the 7th of July, they're going to travel to the Netherlands for some pre-season training, and then we have the Manchester United game that's at Murrayfield. That's at a neutral venue in Edinburgh. Of course, you'll know that all the games are away from Ibrox this year because of the work they're doing on the Copeland stand, I think, to accommodate more disabled fans, is my understanding. And I saw some pictures online, and it looks like it's progressing quite well there. So away to our neutral venue against Manchester United on the 20th of July. And then the one that was announced today is the inaugural friendly against Birmingham City, and that's away, and that's midweek on the 24th of July. And I say inaugural because it's essentially a tribute to the late great Trevor Francis, who starred for both clubs, of course, and that's going to be a great event. And I wonder how I was going to say popular. I don't mean that it's going to be unpopular, but how much Rangers would be able to commit to that each year. I don't know if it'll end up becoming a Legends game, or if it's something that they've genuinely committed to as a club. I would imagine Birmingham would come up to Ibrox next year if it's something that we're going to be doing on an annual basis. And then we finish off our pre-season preparations for this season coming on the 27th of July. So 3 games rapid, basically 3 games in a week there, and that's away to Union Berlin. So yeah, Union Berlin, one of the bigger, one of the more popular sides actually. One of the more successful sides in the Bundesliga in terms of the European participation last year. So these are good games. Obviously, Man United, won't they have another manager? And kind of who cares? Birmingham don't really know a whole hell of a lot about what they're doing, other than they just were hiring and firing managers for fun there just last season. And Union Berlin did see that they were doing quite well last season there as well. So some key dates for us, and good for the club for spelling those out and just giving us an idea. This is what you need to know, folks. So between now and the next 2 weeks, I guess information will be somewhat sparse in terms of first team action, and then we'll get more information as we go forward. For Rangers TV, what we really need to do is what we've got from a NARSA operations overview is that we engage with the club. Of course, we're dealing with the club now more so than ever in terms of our planning for NARSA 2025, as they are a kind of official partner of ours, so to speak. And we also deal with them quite exclusively on trying to organise tickets for Blue Noses who are heading home for a holiday, and trying to secure tickets home or away or Hampden or whatnot. And we typically do well with those. You know, sometimes it could be a bit fraught, and sometimes it could be a little bit what would you say, tense in the lead up to the games, when you're like, did we get one, did we not? But the ticket office is another key partner of ours, as our Rangers TV. And we have, you know, we kind of were thinking, I was thinking certainly anyway, that we were going to get out of the Rangers TV business and just let the Rangers TV as a group deal with individual clubs and go ahead, because the admin, we literally take every single penny we get from all of our member clubs and we just pass it straight on to Rangers TV. So the incentive for us to get involved is support of our membership, but there's no fiscal benefit for us and for NARSA to be able to do that. Now, as a not-for-profit, that's okay, that's not a big deal, but it's a lot of work that we put into getting this organised and making sure that everybody has the information that they need and their passwords and the vouchers and such. So with that said, the reason I'm mentioning that right now is that we have a meeting with David Melvin from Rangers TV tomorrow morning, and that's at 7 o'clock my time. And I know that Alan McWatt is travelling, so he might not be able to make that particular one, but basically to do a review of season 23-24 and then get our planning process underway for season 24-25, figure out what we're doing with the vouchers, figure out what we're doing, what Rangers TV are doing, if there's any changes, you know, expected on the technical delivery or what that process or whatnot should look like. So we'll have a good, honest conversation with David. David's a great guy, and we'll get an opportunity to provide a wee bit more information to our members next week, and then see where that goes from there. On the shout-outs, kind of sparse this week, but I did want to just mention Bobby Gilmer again, and there was 2 parts that I'd mentioned last week. One was a signed golf club, which I'll talk about in a second, and the other one was the Andy Gorham Jobby story. So I'm in receipt of the story now, but I'm going to build up a bit of anticipation, and I'm going to tell you the story next week. I'm not going to tell you this week, I'll tell you next week, but oh boy, it's a beauty. It's a bit of gutter humour there, so I'll maybe give you a warning next week and tell you to fast forward if you need to, but it's funny, and it involves Gorham, it involves McCoist and a whole bunch of alcohol-related hilarity. But I did get some information last night from Alan Swanson, who had sent over photographs of the golf clubs that I was talking about. I actually thought it was just one golf club, but there are two golf clubs, and one of them looks like it's like a Rangers, one of the previous Rangers tartans, and it looks like a 7-wood or a hybrid club of some description that's signed, and the other one looks like a driver. And both of them very branded with Rangers, and both signed. A wee bit difficult to make out who the signatures are from, but both of them look absolutely utterly incredible. So I hope they make their way to a good home somewhere where they're going to be looked after. I know that Bobby's partner will be certainly keeping a hold of them for right now. But what a tremendous gift, and the sort of stuff you just don't get to see, which is fabulous. So wonderful stuff, and a great legacy for the great man that was Bobby Gilmore as well. And a second shout out is basically just to best of luck to everyone who is travelling to the Euros. I'm not sure how much of a contingent we have from North America flying over. I know that Brian Campbell and the Campbell clan are taking Big Brian, Brian Campbell Senior, over there as a bit of a treat, and I believe they'll be travelling kind of midweek-ish time, and they've got a lot of stuff on the go there. So good luck, congratulations, and the best of health as you travel over there for the games. That'll be quite the experience, I have to say. And other than that, the last shout out, of course, is Toronto Midtown Rangers Supporters Club have their cultural night with the Pride of the Birches accordion band from Portadown, Northern Ireland, and that's on Friday the 19th of July. What's that now? 5 weeks away? And no cover charge for this one, but please do email to reserve your table if you're planning on attending, and that is tmrsc1998@outlook.com, and that's of course at Gatherings Resto Bar, which is the Toronto Midtown host pub as well. On the convention update, I can officially confirm that it is 367 days and 52 weeks, so basically a year to go, folks. It felt like we had about 2 years to plan this particular one, but certainly about 18 months for sure, because we took the decision kind of, I can't even remember when we took a decision now to say that New York 2024 wasn't going to be viable for us. And with the way the season went, I think the interest in New York 2024 would have waned over time, and that would have been a real headache and a bit of a stress ball for everyone here at NARSA. But yeah, now we've got a year to go, so the rubber is really hitting the road. What we're doing right now, we're in dialogue with Colin from the Orlando Rangers Supporters Club, just basically saying, here's the host club responsibility, here is the NARSA responsibility, and just answering some questions. We're going to have a bit of a kick-off with Colin and his team there. I don't know that we'll get it done this week, but we'll maybe get it done next week. But just talking about the level of detail we're talking about right now is who's doing what for the football, who's doing what for the golf, what about the magazine, what about the entertainment. So we're having the right conversations at the right level of detail at the right time. So we're going to get some stuff there organised and out for you as quickly as we can. And talking about entertainment, we are not having a flute band. Again, I'm going to repeat this for the next wee while just to make sure everyone is completely aware, so there are no nasty surprises for anyone should they arrive and see that there will not be a flute band. There will still be a cultural element to each of the evenings, and we'll have the DJ line that up. But there's just not going to be a flute band on the Friday. But don't worry, there is going to be some culture there, towards the end of the evenings of each of the events that we have. But we're still looking at other alternative opportunities for entertainment, specifically for the Friday night. The rest of it will be somewhat similar to what we have there. We did meet with the Rangers Football Club last week. We met with Lindsay, who's she's going to be the lead on the logistics and planning and support for the event, and also Greg Marshall, and we had a conversation around the VIP situation and what that looks like. There was just possibly a wee bit of a misunderstanding in terms of what we were just about to communicate, and I think we've got that ironed out now, so we're in good shape to move that one forward. And yeah, as I mentioned over the last couple of weeks, we do have the hotel rooms out for sale, folks, so if you can get that organised as quickly as you possibly can, that gives us a good idea in terms of numbers, and it gives the hotel a bit of an idea of who we are, what we're doing, and how many are going to be there. Just a reminder, it's $199 per night plus 14.5% tax, so that comes to about $228-ish, and they will be taking a deposit from your credit card for the first night to secure your booking. Some hotels do it, some hotels don't, but we'll leave the link for the the hotel bookings. And as I say, if you could get that on that as quickly as you possibly can, there's going to be a lot of trophies that you're going to get an opportunity to get a photograph with at the event. So yeah, I have been mentioning also that we do want to get our tickets out there for sale as quickly as we can as well. We'll probably coincide that with the beginning of the season, I think. So maybe at some point next month, July-ish time, just to make sure we do a good job of that and get everybody what they need as well. I did have a very brief catch up with the executive director for the sporting side of the business at Experience Kissimmee, and just had a bit of a catch up on what's happening there and what type and style of support that they can provide us financially, practically, logistically. So we're getting a bit close to be able to nail that down at the same time. And of course this week Lorraine Spence, our very own communications director, is taking a little bit of a breather and heading down that way, and she's going to do a bit of logistical planning and such, and she will be dialing in from the Omni Hotel, I believe, on Saturday for the AGM, which I'll talk about in a wee bit here. Last week, you'll remember that I did say that to kind of provide a wee bit of entertainment and basically pass the show over to you, that I'm looking for some NARSA Convention stories, any story, and I know that people have got tons and tons of stories, and it doesn't matter how long or how short they are, how much of the details you can remember, just the general gist, whether you met a VIP, whether you have a story of something that's maybe slightly embarrassing now that you reflect back on it, but kind of funny, something about a pal, a missed event, a missed deadline, somewhere where you took a tumble, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Your story is your story, and I'm delighted to say that I got one almost immediately, actually, last week, fantastically, from Victoria Searle, who gave us a very recent example, which is great, which I'm going to read out verbatim here. And this is all you have to do, folks, is just send me a quick note and say, this is the story, and read this part out. Please don't mention that. Make sure you emphasise the fact that he really embarrassed himself. Like, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But this is your part of the show. So thanks very much to Victoria for doing that. And as I say, I'll read it out. Well, I couldn't resist telling you one of my favourite NARSA memories. Every year something special happens, but Toronto 2023 was one for the books. It may have been a smaller NARSA convention, but we had so much fun. I remember it was, I believe, the Blue Night, and I was sitting round our table chatting and happened to look over and see another table had made a small beer tower with about 6 cans. Well, seeing this, I thought, I bet I can make a bigger one. So I started to build, and before you know it, people took notice and cans started ending up at our table. I remember this. The photograph, if you've seen the photographs, you'll absolutely remember this. Now, my friend David was with me, and he joined in on the fun in helping me create a beer tower. Now, at this point, we didn't know how big this thing was going to get, but it grew and grew and grew to over 70 cans of 3-speed beer, as per the photos, and what a sight it was to behold. What a laugh we all had together as this masterpiece was getting built. It was then time to put the gold can on top, and we all cheered at our accomplishment. Now, at the end, it was time to walk out with the flute band in Toronto, and by the time we got back in, the beer tower was gone. So we truly don't even know how they took it down, but I truly hope someone pushed it over or done something fun with it, maybe jumped through it, haha. Anyway, maybe the first of many convention Blue Night beer towers. We will see. Love, Victoria. That is brilliant. I remember that getting done, and I remember at the time saying, well, that's not very fair, because all the Searles are all very tall and they can get a much higher tower than I would ever be able to get at anyone. What did she say, like 70 cans? Mine would have been like 15 or 16 cans, and then I would have reached my limit. But brilliant story. I absolutely remember that, and it was taken in such good spirits by everyone in the room, and even the hotel staff. There was, there's opportunity, I guess, to possibly get a wee bit grumpy about that, people kind of playing around, but the staff were absolutely fantastic sports, and it was great to see that. So thank you very much again, Victoria, for sending it in. And folks, please send me some stuff in. This is, as I say, you're part of the show, and there has to be literally hundreds, if not thousands, of convention stories out there. Just take 5 minutes to jot it down. Send it to me at rangersscc@hotmail.com, and I will get that read out as quickly as I receive it. On to other business. We have our AGM that I mentioned there. That's this coming Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's imperative that each of our clubs have representation there. We didn't have a quorum for our winter or spring meeting back in, I think it was February. And that was a downer, because we put a lot of work into getting the reports done, getting ourselves organised. And then people just don't show up. And it's part of our constitution. If you're a NARSA member club, it's part of the club, but it's part of your responsibility to come along. So please attend. And we do have a special guest actually. We're going to have Greg Marshall from Rangers, the supporters liaison officer. And he's going to be attending. So, I mean, that's Saturday night at 7 p.m. his time. And he says, yep, I'd love to attend. And if there's any questions that I have or that anyone has for me based on anything that's going on, he's more than happy to answer those. So that's a big deal. So we don't want Greg to show up and it's just the NARSA executive and Greg and maybe Colin from Orlando and that's it. So please make sure your club attends that. And I don't want to do a wall of shame of people that don't attend, so let's not even go to that negative part there. We do have a NARSA executive meeting tomorrow night just to do our final preparations for the AGM. Here's a wee bit of logistical stuff that's going on for me personally, selfishly, for a wee second. Leo has a track meet, an athletics meet in the morning, and he's running, I believe it's 1,200 metres that he's running on Saturday morning, so I'm going to miss the games. I'm going to go and see him, and hopefully he does really well. Then we're going to jet back, and then we are going to be in a position where I'll be ready and set up to host the meeting. Of course, I chair the meeting. And then after that, I'm going to what I've now discovered is a birthday / retirement party, which was supposed to just be a summer party for one of our own here in Calgary, and that's Peter McAleer. So we're celebrating his 65th birthday and his retirement as well. So that actually should have been in the shout outs now that I think about it, but I'm glad I got a chance to do that. So yeah, it's going to be a busy day is what I'm saying. I'm fitting this in because it's very, very important to me. It's very important to the association. It's very important for our membership. And I hope that you do too. You get the gist, don't you? Please attend. On the communication section, yeah, it looks like Rangers don't do the Gers guide for close season, which is absolutely fine. We've only got another 2 weeks to go, and then I imagine they would probably resurrect it once pre-season formally starts. But I don't have much on the communication. The NARSA website, if you can go in from your own club perspective, make sure that the details of your committee members are correct, that the details of your location is correct as well. That would be great. We've been talking about this Euro 2024 pool for quite some time. And I know that Bobby Jameson has it ready. He didn't do it specifically for NARSA. He was already doing it for his own pub anyway. But what we kind of agreed last week was maybe we'll do it and we just don't have any money exchanging hands. So I'm going to talk to Sandra tomorrow night about that at the NARSA executive meeting. And if we can get out, say Wednesday, get the submissions back by Thursday or maybe Friday early morning before the game, and then it's bragging rights for whomever wins it. They get bragging rights to say that they're the NARSA 2024 Euro pool champion, and maybe I'll even give you a signed photograph of me if you're lucky. It depends how well you actually do in the tournament overall, but yeah, I've been talking about this for a long time. I was just getting a little bit nervous about whether we would be legally within our rights to be accepting monies and distributing monies and such like that in such a public way. The conventions and such are different, a different kettle of fish when it comes to that sort of thing. So we'll talk to Sandra and the team tomorrow night. Hopefully we've not run out of time. We'll see how it goes. If we have run out of time, apologies for even wasting your time putting these words in your ears for the last little while. And one more time, just if you any feedback whatsoever on the interview that we did with David Holmes and his co-author Stephen, any feedback on the interview, whether that specifically whether that inspired you to actually make a purchase of the book or not, would be absolutely brilliant. Actually, one of my pals that I play football with on Saturdays, we were kind of warming up for the game we were playing in late morning on Saturday, they said, I listened to your interview with the former chairman, I really enjoyed that, and he's a Southampton fan who's been living in Canada for quite a long time, so he took the time to listen, he took the time to provide the feedback. I would love it if our regular members would do that as well, of course, if you've only listened to the interview. Okay, my friends, so that's 24 minutes, 25 minutes, that's it. That's That will do it for this week. Very busy week. NARSA executive meeting tomorrow. We have the Euro starting. We maybe have the Euro pool coming out. Rangers TV meeting tomorrow morning. We have possibly a kick-off with Orlando a little bit later in the week or next week, and our AGM. So no rest for the wicked, as they say, but I'd like to take this opportunity, as always, to thank you very, very much for taking the time to listen. Please do share it with at least one other person that you think might enjoy it. And until next week, happy Father's Day to all Rangers supporting fathers when it comes, and I will talk to you next week. Take care and all the very best, folks, okay? Cheerio now.